Hi everyone, welcome to an introduction of Pre-Calculus Lesson 2.6, Combining Functions. We're going to start off with some basic operations that are allowed to be done with functions. We're going to look at how to find domains for that. Then we're going to do an example to make sure that you understand what's going on. As you know, there are four basic operations: adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. And other than doing those with numbers, we can use those on functions. So if I have two functions, I am allowed to add them together. If I have two functions, I'm allowed to subtract them. I'm allowed to multiply them, and I'm allowed to divide them. And we would literally just simplify the algebraic expressions that we get, and that would be our answer for the function. Let's take a look at how to find the domains. Your book is going to tell you that the domain of the functions is the intersection of the domains of the original functions. So basically this means find the domain of f of x, then find the domain of g of x. Put them together, and that's going to be the domain of the new function. There's just one thing you need to be careful about. When you're dividing f divided by g or g divided by f, watch out for zeros in the denominator. So be careful about what would make the function in the denominator 0, because that's also going to need to be pulled out of the domain. So let's take a look at some examples of this to see if you can understand what's going on. In example 1, we're given two functions. F of x equals 1 over x minus 2, and g of x equals the square root of x. And we need to find the functions f plus g, f minus g, f times g, and f divided by g, and their domains. And then we need to evaluate each function for x equals 4. So pause the video, see if you can write those expressions. A lot of them won't be able to be simplified, but that's okay. And see if you can figure out the domains. And then press play and check your answers with what I have. Okay, so for f plus g, I just did 1 over x minus 2 plus the square root of x. That can't really be simplified, so that's all it is. For f minus g, I just did 1 over x minus 2 minus the square root of x. And again, that can't be simplified, so I'm just going to keep it. F times g, I just simplified by doing 1 over x minus 2 times the square root of x over 1. And when you multiply that together, you just get the square root of x over x minus 2. And finally, we're going to divide. So fraction division says keep this fraction, change dividing to multiplying, and flip this into a fraction. It's going to be 1 over the square root of x. So when you multiply those together, you get 1 over x minus 2 times the square root of x. And yes, you could distribute the square root of x, but you don't have to. Now, let's talk about their domains. I noted over here that the domain of f of x is that x can't be 2, because that would make the denominator 0. And I also noted that g of x has to have an x that's greater than or equal to 0. Because it's a square root, you can't do the square root of a negative, but you can do the square root of a 0. So all I need to do for all of my domains is I just combine these two things together. So I get this, and this, and this. But I need to be careful with f divided by g. Notice, I should have fixed this. This cannot be equal. It shouldn't be underlined, because that will make this square root equal to 0, and then I will have a 0 in the denominator. So I have to be very careful about that. So I have to take out the thing that will make the denominator 0. Now the last thing we need to do is evaluate each of these for x equals 4. So you're just going to take a 4, put it in for all the x's you see, and do the calculations. So pause the video, do that, and then press play to check your answers. Okay, so in the first one, I have 1 over 4 minus 2, which is 1/2, plus the square root of 4, and I add them together and I get 2.5. For f minus g, I'm just subtracting those two things, and 1/2 minus 2 is negative 1 and 1/2. For this one right here, the square root of 4 is 2, and 4 minus 2 is 2, so this is 2 over 2, which is 1. And this last one, I have 1 over, this is 2, times the square root of 4, so it's 1 over 4, and that's my answer. So that's it for this video. Make sure you bring any questions you have into class.